The problem is, my ex came back one day, saying she wants us to try again, saying how she realized what she lost and how amazing I turned out to become. Welcome back to They Did What, your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, going to go over a story titled, My Ex-Girlfriend of 8 years dumped me, came back after 5 months, but I'm sort of seeing someone else. And guys, this story is about a guy, he's 22 years old, as his ex-girlfriend is, and he was seeing her for a number of years, even he says 8 years, almost like a junior high girlfriend, high school girlfriend, all that. Then the guy started going through some really tough times. Apparently his dad got really sick, then died. The guy fell into a deep, dark depression, gained weight, just a very bad place. And eventually, she kicked his ass to the curb and said pretty much she wanted to go explore other options or something along those lines. And as you can imagine, the guy was really torn apart, but then the guy moved on, never bothered with her again, never contacted her, and decided one day, that's it, I gotta get off my butt and get my life back together. Joined a gym, started working out, lost the weight that he put on, life is doing great, and eventually he met a girl, things are going great, but now, after he's doing great, guess who's back and wants to be in his life? And I'm doing this one as a perfect example how a lot of times when guys are at their low point, when they need the girl that they love the most, they need them the most, that's a lot of times when they drop the guy, and the guy eventually gets his life together, and then guess who's back, right? Now, to be fair here, there are some circumstances where it's understandable. Well, let's just say you had a girlfriend and she's gone through a tough time too, and you had a long history together, and it almost seems like there's nothing you could do to help her. She's gone into a deep, dark depression. She's changed. Maybe she put on a bunch of weight, whatever. There's a point where if you've tried so much, you can't take it anymore, then you got to move on for your own personal well-being and health and all that. I get that. But I don't think it got to that point. And I also think that it's also the main theme of the story is, guess who comes back when you're doing great? And when there's another beautiful woman for competition. But anyhow, I'm going to get more into this. You'll see more what I'm talking about here. So it starts off, he says, we were high school sweethearts. I've known her for 10 years. We basically grew up together in our relationship. She left me while I was in a pretty rough spot. My father passed away a month before she left due to lung cancer. Plus, it was quarantine and COVID was raging, so I couldn't even see her. So she kind of broke it off over the phone. Absolute low point. I mean, 22 years old and your dad dies. I mean, that will seriously mess up a lot of people, especially if you're young, that age. She left because I stopped caring about myself. I was struggling with severe depression and anxiety and gained a lot of weight and basically went numb for everything. And another reason was that she needed to explore, he said that in quotes, what was out there because I was her only boyfriend and she felt like she needed to figure out who she was. Translation, I want to go ride the carousel for a while. I must add that my depression lasted for years. I had trouble with my parents and it ruined me emotionally. She was kind about it and really helped me out a lot. She made me start therapy, made me work out, work on myself, etc. It's just that it got to be too severe at one moment and she couldn't take it anymore. It was a wake-up call for me. So, in this situation, it does sound like it was tough on her. I don't know if it was to the extent that maybe her walking away, but it does sound like, and he's acknowledging this, that yeah, he wasn't exactly the easiest dude to be around. But still, the lowest point was when the dad died. That's when she left, But let's see how this guy handles it. He says, I took it like a man. I left her alone and respected her decision. I started working out like crazy and doing a lot of self-improvement. At first as an attempt to get her back, but later I started loving the process. I lost 25 pounds, got shredded, ran a marathon, upped my personal business, and got better all in all. A different person. That is awesome. We all have points in our lives, guys, when we just have a breaking point, or we lose control and all that. Hell, it's happened to me a couple times in life because depression runs in my family. But you got to be the one to pick yourself up. Nobody can do it for you. But it does help to have a support network there. But eventually, we have to get off our asses and turn things around. It doesn't mean overnight, but definitely the process. And he realized that. First he did it to get her back, but then he obviously did it for him. Turned his life around. And that is awesome. One night, I came to my favorite bar and noticed a cute waitress working. We immediately hit it off. I bought her a couple of drinks, walked her home, and we kissed. Since then, it's been a wild ride. We started dating, but we're not really exclusive as of yet. We have amazing chemistry, amazing sex, and we get along freakishly well. She's so supportive, makes me talk about my feelings, depression, my father, etc. She's really into me every possible way. Well, you all that watch my other channel know my opinion about pouring out your emotions and feelings and all that shit to women. You don't make your girlfriend your therapist or your mommy or anything like that. It's one thing to, talk about some things, but when the guys start pouring out the emotions and letting out their weaknesses and all that, not a good place to be. People always disagree with me on this, but when guys do that, the women may say they want their guy to be able to do that, but they really don't want to actually hear all that. They want the guy to be strong always. And it's not always fair, I agree, but it is what it is. And nobody believes me? Guys, then pour out your feelings to your girl. Be that emotional type of guy and see how that impacts her attraction for you. Better to talk about that shit with your best bros, guys you can absolutely trust, but not making your girlfriend or serious girl you're into your therapist. It's a bad way to go. But anyhow, she's cool. He says, the problem is when my ex came back one day, saying that she wants us to try again, saying how she realized what she lost and how amazing I turned out to become. I told her it's best we don't speak or we see each other for a while because I don't know what to think about all that, which she respected. Since then, I can't get her out of my head. I think about her 24/7. I don't know what to do. Well, given that you were with her for so long, it is understandable that you can't get her out of your head. She was such a big part of your life. But it's possible that this time that part of your life is over. You've moved on. And remember, although it sounds like she was there for you when you were going through tough times, when you really needed her, I mean, at the absolute lowest, she was out of there. And not to mention broke up with you by freaking phone or something like that to explore other things. But now that you're doing great, you cleaned yourself up, you picked yourself up doing well, and have a hot girlfriend, well, guess who's back? That's usually how it works for lots of different reasons when women break up with guys. That's why it's always best for dudes to just walk away, never contact them again, and it's amazing the results. She actually told me when we met, why did a breakup have to happen in order for you to become everything I ever wanted? Oh, for goodness sake. So I'm pretty sure it was the fact that she saw me as a different person that made her want to come back. Now that I've changed and grown, it sounds so tempting for me to start fresh with her and give it another go as this new and improved person. I don't blame her at times. It was like she was my mother, and no one likes to be in that relationship. I've learned my lesson from all this, and I believe I could be a better boyfriend now. Well, you did pick yourself up, and that's awesome. But again, remember, she left you when you were at your worst. And what's to say that you fall down this path again sometime? What if your mom dies? Or somebody else important to you dies and you fall down that dark path in depression? Is she going to hit the road once again if that happens? It's an important question to ask. Because depression runs in families, and it will come back again when things get tough. It runs in my family. I got it. I've learned to deal with it over the years because I've had bad situations early in my life when I let it control me, but now I control it to the best of my ability. But it's going to come back one day. And do you want that? In my opinion, you should go with this new girl and have a good time, but take it slow, of course. If I leave this girl that I'm seeing now, I'll maybe waste something potentially amazing that can last a long time. But if I don't get back with my ex of 8 years, I feel like it'll haunt me forever. Something tells me you'll find a way to move on, brother. I was upfront with the new girl and told her everything. She was very understanding and calm about it, saying how she'll respect whatever decision I make, but mentioning how she would like us to continue because she sees potential in us as a couple. I think you ought to try it out with her. She actually proposed I go out and talk with my ex, which I thought was a very mature move. But I feel like it would be very disrespectful towards her while we're dating. And I feel like I'd first have to end things with her in order to see my ex with a clear mind. What do I do? This is really driving me insane. I feel like everyone deserves a second chance and that everyone's allowed to make a bad call and mistake. We all make mistakes. Okay? And everybody, in my opinion, people deserve a second chance depending on the situation. You know, if she cheats on you, no, she does not get a second chance. But also, yes, she was there to help you for a while, and it sounds like it was tough, but again, the whole thing when you were at your worst, when your dad died, and the fact that now she's back, and why couldn't you have been like this before? That type of thing. And what will she do if you fell down depression again? But now here's the thing, guys. He added an edit or an update to this whole thing about some other things that are going on behind the scenes, which really makes me stick to my guns about saying, no, don't go back to her. There are other things at play here. Now listen to this. He says, I want to give you some more details which I haven't discussed earlier in the post since I hadn't had the guts to do so. There was a really suspicious thing that happened at the end of the previous relationship. I had a best guy friend. I've known him for 5 to 6 years at the time. We got close one year and we started hanging out intensively. We hung out for like 5 to 6 hours a day and I really enjoyed his company. I have a lot of trust issues, so Kay rarely ever had close friends like that. Kay's his ex. He is finishing medical school, looks good, is in good shape, a fine dude. My ex didn't have many friends. I always urged her to go out and find more people to have fun with, pushed her to meet new girlfriends, and just be more extroverted. That's when I introduced her to my best friend. The three of us really hit it off. We started hanging out together every day, playing cards, drinking, going out, etc. The two of them slowly started bonding. I smelled trouble. When I found out that my father had cancer and he had a couple of months left, I rushed back to my hometown to take care of him and be there. I couldn't really make time to go out with them, and they both had to stay back in that the city because of college. They slowly started texting and going out solo. I really smell trouble. At first, my friend and ex asked me whether it was okay if they hung out alone, to which I replied, of course, it's no problem, because it really wasn't. I wanted my ex to have fun and gain new friends. Define fun and gain new friends. I wouldn't have my girl hanging out with my bro. As much as you want to trust him, you don't trust the devil in him or her. How many stories have I heard like this that things go down the tubes? At one point, it kind of started bothering me that they were texting 24/7. He was getting more of her attention than me, and I really needed her. This is all around the time that she was about to break up with him. Where there's smoke, there's fire. This guy's obviously a good guy, but unfortunately a bit naive in hanging out with his girl. He should have drawn the line right then and there. Said, no, this is going to stop. They went out a couple times again, and on one night he came over to her place to hang out. Not cool. She was alone with him at her apartment in another city while I was waiting on my father to die, tired and under a lot of stress. She didn't answer my calls or texts that night while they were alone for 4 to 5 hours. I got pissed and mad. I thought something was going on. Given the fact I've been doing this for a couple of years and I've been on this planet for 44 freaking years, I've had plenty of relationship dating and all that, let me tell you, I'm pretty sure something was going on. This is not a coincidence that she happens to break up with him around this time period. She then appeared at 2 o'clock in the morning after 6 hours saying how he went home and how she accidentally fell asleep. We talked it through and it was all good. So you thought. So you hope, my friend. They kept on texting and it kept on going. My father passed away. Me and my ex grew apart even further. I was too stressed and I was too obsessed with being a rock for my mother and sister that I forgot to take care of my RS. My ex noticed that and we grew further apart until one day she left. I find it very interesting that she kicked this guy to the curb at his worst when the dad died and after all this time of spending with this so-called friend of his. My best friend suddenly stops talking to me. He stopped sending me messages. He just started appearing less and less interested, and at one point he just ghosts me. I never bothered to ask what it was. I knew inside he did something wrong, but I was too busy wrapping my head around the fact that I lost my father. I just couldn't deal with it, and I couldn't ask my ex because she told me we shouldn't hear from each other anymore, and so it went. His dad is sick with cancer. His dad then dies. This guy already has issues, and now his girl dumps him, and the best friend disappears as well. Great friends. I'd have nothing to do with them. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't buy it for a second. And this only reinforces the point that, do not go back to this ex. 4 or 5 months later, I bump into him and he's nervous and all flaky. I wonder why. I ask him where he's been and he says he's been super busy with his final exams. And I smile and say it was nice seeing him. He's super busy for 4 to 5 months on final exams. He can't check up and see how you're doing, knowing how your dad died and how hard of a time you're going through. Oh, and your girl dumped you, the girl of many years. A month later, my ex pops back in the picture. She wants to meet. I was honest with her and told her I slept with this new girl, but that's nothing serious. She accepts it, doesn't make a big fuss out of it, and says we can work through it. Work through it? You broke up. She broke up with you. You can sleep with whoever the hell you want. Work through it, please. Then she says, since we're being honest, your best friend told me that he's in love with me, but that it wouldn't be fair to you to do anything, so he just vanished. There you go. And the whole "we're being honest" thing, I think she left something out in her confession about being honest. Since then, I haven't really said anything to her about it, nor did I get a chance to process it. I asked her whether she cheated on me. She didn't. That's what she says. And again, this guy, obviously a good guy, but in my opinion, very naive. He was the one that was allowing them to hang out and text and this and that, and still took it like, okay, no problem. Bad idea. But since then, I just told her that it's best we don't speak for a while, and I'm too confused. My opinion, because that's the end of his story here, because obviously he's wondering what to do, move on. I don't trust her at all, and certainly that guy is out of the picture. You knew something was going on. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and then she ratted him out saying, oh, he confessed he's in love with me. Done. Bros before garden hose. Not cool. He's done, out of the picture, and I would not go back to her. Again, sure, maybe she was good to him, I hope, before the dad died, because he said he had depression problems, and people can certainly have a breaking point, but there was more to it. It was no accident that she was hanging out with this dude all the time and then disappeared that one night for all those hours while his dad's on his deathbed. He can't get a hold of her and just made up some BS like something was going on. I think something was going on. I don't trust her. End of story. Because remember, she had to go explore things. Yeah, explore his best friend. So-called best friend. So, my opinion is this guy should just move on. End of story. He picked himself up, which says a hell of a lot about his character. Lost the weight, got in great shape. He's feeling good. Got that girl he's dating, having a good time. Leave it in the past. End of story. That's what I would do. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you ever experienced where you've been at a low point in your life, girl dumps you, you get yourself back in shape, whatever that may be, back to being who you were or better, and then all of a sudden, she's back. I'd like to hear about that, because that's the main theme of this story here, and it's amazing how it happens. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.